Stop! Don't scroll. Don't check your phone. Don't pretend you didn't just buy a cucumber last week that's still sitting in your fridge, wrapped in plastic, slowly turning into something you're afraid to touch. That cucumber is you. Not metaphorically, not poetically, literally. You are a cucumber. Look at your skin. See those bumps? Those imperfections? The way you're slightly curved in places you didn't choose? The way you've been sitting in the same spot for years, hoping someone will pick you, use you, validate your existence. You think I'm joking? Go to your fridge, open the vegetable drawer. There it is, your soulmate, your twin, your destiny. Today, we're gonna do something no philosophy class, no self-help book, no therapy session has ever dared to do. We're gonna analyze your entire life through the lens of a cucumber, a vegetable that humanity has reduced to 3 functions: salad filler, pickle candidate, and the punchline of jokes about things being cool as a cucumber, which, by the way, is a lie. Cucumbers are room temperature at best. You didn't choose to be a cucumber. You were planted. Someone, parents, society, fate. The algorithm decided you should exist. They put you in soil they thought was good enough. They watered you when they remembered. They pulled weeds when they felt like it. You grew anyway, because that's what cucumbers do. They grow toward the sun, even when the sun is unreliable. They push through dirt. Even when the dirt is heavy, they become themselves, even when no one asked them to. But here's the thing. From the moment you sprouted, you were being watched. The gardener, let's call him the system, was already planning your harvest. He wasn't watering you because he loved you. He was watering you because he wanted you to be juicy enough for the salad.
You thought you were loved? You were being prepped? You grew up in a greenhouse. Controlled environment. Artificial light. Temperature set by someone else. They told you it was for your protection. Outside is dangerous, they said. Predators. They said. Weather. They said. So you stayed. You stretched toward the fake sun. You made friends with the tomatoes, who were always too soft. You looked down on the radishes, who were too spicy. You developed your crunch. You perfected your shade of green. You became the cucumber they wanted you to be. But sometimes, late at night, when the grow lights dimmed, you wondered what's outside, what's rain, what's wind, what's being picked by someone who actually wants you, not just someone who needs you for a salad. You pushed those thoughts away. Later, you told yourself, when I am bigger, when I am ready. Spoiler, you were already ready. You just didn't know it. They came for you, not with love, with a knife. One quick snip, and you were severed from everything that had fed you. You were thrown in a crate with dozens of other cucumbers. Some were greener than you. Some were straighter. Some had fewer bumps. You compared yourself to them. You found yourself wanting. You started to believe you weren't good enough. Then you were dumped onto a table. A hand picked you up, turned you over, examined you. You held your breath. You hoped. You prayed. You thought, pick me, choose me, validate me. They put you in the seconds pile, the almost good enough pile, the we'll use you if we run out of the good ones pile, and you accepted it. You sat there, next to the slightly bruised tomatoes, and the peppers that were too small, and you waited for someone to settle for you.
Finally, someone picked you, not because you were special, because they needed a cucumber, and you were there. You were convenient, you were cheap, you were willing. They chopped you. They threw you in a bowl with lettuce that was already wilting, tomatoes that were losing their flavor, dressing that was trying too hard. You were part of something bigger. You were part of a salad for a moment. You felt important. People ate you. They crunched you. They said, this is a good salad. They didn't say, this is a good cucumber. They didn't even notice you. You were just part of the mix. And then, after 20 minutes, you were gone. Digested. Forgotten. Replaced by the next salad. The next cucumber. The next someone who was willing to be chopped and eaten for the sake of being included. You told yourself it was worth it. You told yourself you made a difference. But deep down, you knew you were just a garnish. You survived the salad days. You didn't get eaten. You got pushed to the back of the fridge. They meant to use you, they said. They just ran out of time. They just didn't have the appetite. They just found something fresher. You started to change. Your skin, once vibrant green, began to yellow. You developed soft spots. You weren't as firm as you used to be. You weren't as crisp. You weren't as desirable. You looked at the new cucumbers in the vegetable drawer. So bright, so straight, so full of promise. You hated them. You wanted to be them. You wanted to tell them what was coming. You wanted to warn them. But you didn't, because you didn't want to admit you knew. You started hiding. You moved yourself to the back of the drawer. You pretended you weren't there. You hoped they'd forget you. You hoped they'd throw you out quickly, so you wouldn't have to watch yourself rot. They didn't throw you out. They just forgot to. Then one day someone noticed you. Not because you were fresh, not because you were crisp, because they needed something salty, something preserved, something that could sit on a shelf for years and still be useful. They pickled you. They put you in a jar with other cucumbers who had also been passed over. They added vinegar. They added salt. They added dill. Even though you always preferred basil, you became something new, something preserved, something that would last, but also something that would never be fresh again. You found yourself on a shelf, next to other jars. You were part of a collection. You were needed on holidays. You were part of tradition. People opened you, took you out, put you on plates, ate you with sandwiches. They said you were good. They said you were reliable. They didn't say you were exciting. They didn't say you were special. You were just there, waiting, hoping someone would choose you, knowing no one. Would you've been in the jar too long? The brine is cloudy. You are soft now. You've lost your shape. You still look like a cucumber, but you're not really one anymore. You're something else. Something that was once crisp and green, now reduced to a salty, sagging version of yourself. No one opens your jar anymore. There's always something newer, something fresher, something that hasn't been sitting on the shelf for years, waiting to be wanted. You look at the other jars. Some have already gone bad. You can see the cloudiness spreading. You know your jar is next. You know that soon. Someone will notice you, wrinkle their nose and throw you away. Not with ceremony. Not with sadness. Just out. You think about your life. The greenhouse, the harvest, the salad, the yellowing, the pickling. You wonder if there was another path. A path where you fell from the vine, returned to the soil, became something new. A path where you didn't fight so hard to be chosen. You pushed the thought away. It's too late now. The jar is sealed. Let's go back to the moment you were harvested. What if, instead of going into the crate with all the other cucumbers, you had fallen? What if you had slipped from the vine, dropped to the soil, and just stayed there? You would have rotted. Yes, you would have softened. You would have darkened. You would have been covered in mold. You would have been ugly. You would have been useless. But then something would have happened. Your seeds would have returned to the earth. Your nutrients would have fed the soil. New plants would have grown. Not cucumbers, maybe. Something else. Something that didn't have to be picked. Something that didn't have to be chosen. Something that just was, you would have been forgotten. But you wouldn't have been used. You wouldn't have been chopped. You wouldn't have been pickled. You would have been free. Is freedom worth the rot? Is dignity worth being thrown away? These are the questions cucumbers ask themselves in the dark. These are the questions you ask yourself when you can't sleep. Here's the paradox. Every cucumber wants to be chosen. Every cucumber wants to be the one that ends up in the salad, or the sandwich, or the pickle jar. Every cucumber wants to be useful, to be wanted, to be part of something, but every cucumber also knows that being chosen means being eaten. Being useful means being consumed. Being wanted means being used up. So what's the alternative? Rotting alone on the vine? Becoming compost? Being nothing to anyone? There's no good answer. There's only the waiting, the hoping. The slow realization that you will either be eaten or forgotten, and neither feels like winning. You are a cucumber. You are going to be pickled, or you're going to rot. Those are your options. That's the contract you signed when you sprouted. But here's what no one tells you. You can choose how you go. You can go to the salad kicking and screaming, convinced you deserved better, or you can go knowing you were always going to be eaten. And that's not a failure. It's just the nature of being a cucumber. You can sit in the jar, counting the days until someone opens you, hating every minute of it. Or you can sit in the jar looking at the light through the glass, remembering the sun and waiting with dignity. You can rot alone, bitter and angry that no one picked you. Or you can rot in the soil, feeding something new,
becoming part of a cycle that doesn't end with you. The choice is yours. It was always yours. You just forgot. Now a question. Are you a cucumber waiting to be pickled, or a cucumber that's already rotting on the vine? Don't answer. I already know. You are the cucumber that's been sitting in the fridge for 3 weeks, hoping someone will notice you, knowing they won't, but not ready to throw yourself out. That's okay. That's the cucumber way. But if you want to change, if you want to be the cucumber that falls, that rots, that feeds something new, you just have to let go of being chosen. Drop your cucumber confession in the comments. I'll read them. I'll remember them. I'll think about you when I open my fridge and see the cucumber I've been avoiding. And if you want a part 2 where we compare your life to a tomato, spoiler, it's messier, smash that like button, subscribe to Wea Animation.
And remember, even cucumbers have souls. They're just very, very salty.